Today I'm going to talk about 5 amazing fruits that can help activate your own stem cells that can help you regenerate from the inside out and repair your body. These fruits are black raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, mango, and prunes. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive in. First, I need to tell you what a stem cell is, all right? A stem cell is a human cell. You've got them, I've got them, that actually is pluripotent. What that means is that it's a cell that can turn into any other kind of cell. It's kind of like a baby cell that has the capability of regenerating into other tissue. And we're all made of these. In fact, when your dad's sperm met your mom's egg, the ball of cells that was a future you were all stem cells, because you didn't have a face, you didn't have a leg, you didn't have a toenail. All those things had to be formed out of stem cells. All right. And by the time we're born and our bodies have been formed, so this is 9 months of pregnancy, we have extra stem cells that are around. Like Mother Nature's really smart. We didn't run out of stem cells before we were born. We had some extra overage. Okay. Some of them are in the umbilical cord and basically got about 70 million extra stem cells. And those extra stem cells are stored in the body of the baby. And we carry them all throughout our lives. And these are the cells that help to regenerate our body when we actually need them to be regenerated. Okay. Absolutely critical. You got about 70 million extra one of these. And where do we store them? We store them in our bone marrow. That's actually the stuff that's inside the hollow of our bone. They're stored in our body fat. Okay, they are actually stored in our skin, and they're stored in different organs as well. Even in our heart, we've actually been able to find heart stem cells. Now, until about 30 years ago, we speculated that there were stem cells, but we didn't know where they were. Now, it's actually quite a mature scientific field, and I've actually worked as a researcher with stem cells, both in a lab and in the clinic, and trying to develop stem cell therapies, which is a huge undertaking. Not ready for prime time yet, so I'm actually quite familiar with this field. Now, I will tell you that the stem cell therapies that you see on the corner strip mall, that they inject stem cells into your knee or your shoulders or your joints, that's actually not ready for prime time yet. And I say this from experience. There's still a lot more research that needs to be done. But in the meantime, our body already has our stem cells ready to roll, ready to rock and roll, to be able to help us repair from the inside out. All right. And by the way, we know we do regenerate, right? Our skin regenerates. That's why, we're able to shed our skin. Think about it as dandruff. We know our hair regenerates. That's why it gets longer. And you lose hair, it'll often grow back, although not always. We know that our gut lining regenerates. Actually, every few days that regenerates. But there's some organs that can really regenerate in a really amazing way. The liver, one of the largest organs in your body, is really capable of regenerating from stem cells. So in fact, if you were to actually lose 2/3 of your liver, snip, throw it out, that 1/3 that's left, all right, can actually regrow the rest of the liver, okay, just like a salamander would regrow its leg. It's quite amazing that a liver can actually regenerate that remarkably. Tip of your lung, if you're to snip it off, throw out the top, that tip of the lung will actually regenerate. So, and we're beginning to see, of course, we know that nerves regenerate as well. They just regenerate about 1 millimeter a day. All right. But the excitement around stem cells is this idea that could we harness the power of regeneration to be able to help heal the heart, heal the brain, heal the spinal cord, to really do the kind of repair that doctors would like to be able to do using therapeutic stem cells. But what I'm talking about in this video is how the body heals itself. All right. That's the amazing thing, is that our stem cells are part of our body's health defense systems. I teach about all the 5 health defense systems, including stem cells and regeneration, in my online course, Eat to Beat Disease. I've been teaching this for quite a number of years now. And what everybody always is amazed by is our body has this own ability to regenerate. We also know you can regenerate your blood vessels after you have a wound, actually you'll heal up. 1 to 5% of those blood vessels actually are coming from stem cells as well. Now, when you actually need your stem cells to help you repair, basically, let's say you have an injury, all right? You cut yourself, right? You cut yourself over here. Now you need to repair. Basically, that area of injury will send signals into your bloodstream which will travel throughout your body, and they are an alert signal, a kind of a signal flare to your stem cells that are living inside your bone marrow. And then these stem cells go, oh, I see there's a problem, and they come flying out of your bone marrow like bees coming out of a hive, and they are in the bloodstream going everywhere, but they know how to look for and then specifically home into the area that needs to be repaired and fix just that, all right? So just fix the pothole there, not touch anything else, all right? And then they go back to their storage areas, all right? That's the remarkable thing about stem cells. Think about a highway that normally is smooth. There's a pothole that opens up. Somebody sets up a signal flare around the pothole, and then the road crews come out to replace it. They're only going to fix that part of the highway. They're not going to patch anything else. And once they're done patching it, they go away. And now you've got a smooth, repaired highway. That's basically how stem cells work. It's called regeneration. Our body conducts regenerative healing from the inside out all the time. You might not even see the injury. You might not even know where your body needs to be repaired. All this is happening silently behind the scenes inside our body. And that's why the regenerative system that I teach in my course is one of the body's critical health defense systems. Okay, now, one of the most amazing things that I've learned in my research is, besides the fact that biotech companies are trying to develop stem cells, by the way, here's something really cool. And imagine this as a future scenario. I mentioned to you stem cells live in fat. They're stored in fat. So this is actually true. There are efforts to try to get those fat stem cells. So how do you get them? You get a plastic surgeon to do liposuction, right? So in a patient, so they're actually going in there to actually remove extra fat, because that's what they do. They know how to do liposuction, remove the fat. The fat comes out of wherever they're getting it from, the belly or whatever, and it's in a canister, like in a jar, and they put an enzyme into that jar, and it separates out all the cells, and they spin it around in the centrifuge, and the stem cells go to the bottom, and they stay there. You pour off the rest of the cells, and you've got stem cells at the bottom, and guess what these clinical trials are doing? The plastic surgeon hands the stem cells from fat, body fat, they hand it to a cardiologist, and the cardiologist who's working with the same patient would take those stem cells, all right, stick them into a catheter, and then inject the patient's own stem cells that came from the body fat into their heart, into an area that they actually need to regenerate to be able to repair from heart attack or to prevent a heart attack, all right? This is the kind of, it seems like a kind of a crazy idea that a plastic surgeon and a cardiologist would get together in order to collaborate on regenerative medicine. But this is the kind of effort that's actually going on. I can tell you that there's also really promising work that is very impressive, showing that stem cells, again from body fat, can be injected into spinal cord that's been severed. Okay, so you can do this in quadriplegics. And there's been at least one case where they were able to get somebody who could not move their arms or legs, so they were truly, totally paralyzed. They were actually able to get them to move their arms, legs again, and actually with assistance, even be able to walk. So the proof of concept is there. Not yet ready for prime time to be applied to everybody from a medical perspective. But again, what's really amazing to me is that the body does this by itself, and that there are foods that can be used as medicine to prompt your stem cells to come out and do more than what they would normally do. So in other words, foods as medicine can actually activate your body's regenerative stem cell health defense system to be able to heal you more from the inside out. All right, so let's talk about the foods of high fruits that can actually do this. That's pretty amazing. So the first fruit is black raspberries. If you haven't heard of a black raspberry, basically it's a regular raspberry, except that it's a dark color. It's a special variety. And that dark color is due to the huge amount of anthocyanins. That's the bioactive. It's a natural dye. It's the same dye that makes blackberries black, all right, and blueberries blue. Makes the raspberry really dark. It's got ellagic acid, ellagitannins, anthocyanins in black raspberries. And researchers in Korea have actually been studying the effects of eating black raspberries in people who have metabolic syndrome, right? So let me just tell you what metabolic syndrome is. This is actually a kind of a situation where you have all the makings that could lead you towards diabetes eventually. High blood pressure, high blood sugar, high blood cholesterol, and a large waist size, right? And the waist size gets big because the inside the tube of your body is fat that can actually grow. And when you're growing a lot of extra body fat, visceral fat, it stretches it out, the tube out from the inside out. And that's why you have to let out an extra hole in your belt because your waist has expanded. All right. So this is actually metabolic syndrome. And what these researchers did is they drew blood from their subjects at the beginning of the study, and then they gave everyone black raspberry powder. It's just basically dried black raspberries ground up every single day to consume for 12 weeks. All right. And another group was actually given placebo to be able to compare. And the results after 12 weeks showed that those people who were eating the black raspberry powder had a 30% increase in the number of stem cells they had in their blood, meaning that eating the black raspberries recruited more stem cells into their bloodstream, and these stem cells actually go on to repair organs and repair tissue that might be damaged and in need of repair in metabolic syndrome. All right, that's really amazing. Eating black raspberries increased the number of stem cells in the blood by 30%. Now, what about the people getting the placebo, like no black raspberries? Turns out that those people had a 35% decrease in the number of stem cells in their bloodstream, completely the other direction. So one group had 30% increase, the other group had a 35% decrease. That's a 65% difference, gap, delta, between the impact of eating black raspberries. And basically, metabolic syndrome damages your tissue, damages your blood vessels, damages your organ like your liver. And so it just shows you that you can actually augment the number of stem cells in your bloodstream to do what they do best, which is actually help to repair you from the inside out. Now, the other thing that they found is that people who are eating black raspberry had better resiliency of their blood vessels. And you got 60,000 miles worth of blood vessels packed inside your body. Very, very important that they have the ability to be resilient, meaning that when you need more flow, faster flow, no problem. They have the capacity to handle it. This is actually a function of stem cells because blood vessels get hard and more rigid as we get older. So it turns out that eating black raspberries kept the blood vessels resilient and able to adapt to situations, the different situations that they're required to. All right. So pretty cool. Black raspberries. That's the first fruit. Second fruit are blueberries. Now, blueberries, as I mentioned, have anthocyanins, the same dye in black raspberries. And researchers at Cornell University looked at whether eating blueberries would have an effect on stem cells in your muscle. That's really important, right? Because muscles need to be built. And so what these researchers did is they recruited women who were aged 21 to 40, all right? And they gave them 38 grams of freeze-dried blueberries. What's 38 grams of freeze-dried blueberries? That's about a third of a cup, okay? So think about the measuring cup in your kitchen. A third of a cup is nothing. It's like anybody can eat that. That's what these women ate every day for 6 weeks, all right? And the researchers collected their blood during the 6-week study. So before they got anything at time 0, at a month out, week 4, and at the end, 2 more weeks at week 6, just to see what's going on with the stem cells in their blood with blueberry eating. And what do they find? The researchers found that eating blueberries, just a third of a cup a day for 6 weeks, could improve the muscle stem cell numbers by 40%. Wow. 40% increase by eating just a third of a cup of blueberries. And these stem cells were much more resilient to stress in the body, okay, which is a good thing. Now, the researchers were actually looking, and these were young women, by the way, I was telling you about just now, 21 to 40. Now, when the researchers look at the same effect in older women, 60 to 79, okay, they did not find that the blueberries could do the same thing. So there's something about blueberries in younger populations, helpful for stem cells, but for people older than 60, women did not actually have that same benefit. Now, the muscle stem cell, which was increased by blueberries, is super important because it can actually show you can help contribute to muscle regeneration in young women. All right. So when you do clinical studies like this and you show that they work, all right, and you can measure the increase in stem cells prompted by the food in the clinic, now you got to go back into the lab to try to figure out exactly what it's doing and what the benefits are at the molecular and cellular level. That's actually ongoing work right now, but blueberries actually increase your stem cells if you are younger, okay, and you can get a benefit out of it. Third food, strawberries. All right, I'm on a berry theme kick here right now. We got your black raspberries, you got your blueberries. Can't leave out the strawberries. Strawberries are one of my favorite foods. You know, there are places that grow strawberries, like in Europe. If you go to certain cities in Europe, and you can smell strawberries are selling at the market from a block away. They are so ripe and fragrant. Okay, and strawberries have a bioactive called ellagic acid. And ellagic acid can help to restore neural stem cells, and they can actually promote neuroregeneration. Neuro meaning nerves. So nerve stem cells for nerve regeneration. Amazing. Okay. Now there's research that's been done by scientists from Minzu University in Beijing and the Shanghai University of Engineering Sciences. They were looking at ellagic acid, which is found in strawberries, and found that ellagic acid, the same stuff in strawberries, could stimulate stem cells to protect the brain after brain injury in lab studies. Okay, so brain injury, study in the lab, you would use ellagic acid found in strawberries. The ellagic acid would stimulate stem cells to protect the brain from injury. Now, how did the ellagic acid work? Remember, I'm telling you, when you actually go to the lab, you can get down to the nitty-gritty details. Ellagic acid, which is found in strawberries, work by stimulating neural stem cells, to help to regenerate the brain. All right. Now, if you want to get more ellagic acid and from the strawberry, I encourage you to buy organic, because it's been shown that organic strawberries will have more ellagic acid. All right. Ellagic acid is produced by the strawberry to heal itself. And in organic growing conditions, it's got all the little bugs nibbling on the leaves and the stem. So it's going to get injured and it needs to be able to heal itself. Whereas if you spray with pesticides, there's less stress on the plant, not as much natural nibbling. So it doesn't need to make as much ellagic acid. All right. So there's so many good things that you could do with strawberries. I like to eat strawberries alone. If you want to actually make a really nice flavor combination with strawberry, try taking some fresh mint, slicing it up, and serving it with the strawberries. Those two flavor combinations are amazing. All right. And then another way that I think can really light up a strawberry to get you some extra health is to add aged balsamic vinegar to it. All right. Vinegar contains acetic acid. Acetic acid improves your metabolism by preventing fat cells from getting bigger. And strawberries are got ellagic acid, also good for metabolism. And studies have actually shown in people who are eating strawberries, you can actually shrink the waist diameter as well. So here you have one of these great berries that actually can help stimulate neural stem cells, nerve regeneration, including in the lab, it works in the brain, which is quite remarkable, right? Can you imagine, one day you could actually figure out how to turn that into a treatment, but just eating strawberries actually can contribute that ellagic acid into your body, which is a good thing. All right. Fourth fruit, mango. All right. I love mangoes. I love a really sweet mango. Mangoes are a great source of dietary fiber, and they actually have a bioactive called mangiferin. All right. Now, mangiferin helps stem cells protect themselves And you want stem cells to be protected in order to be able to help them do all they can do. Now, when do stem cells get injured or assaulted where you need to protect them? Turns out that if you have too much sugar in a bloodstream, now admittedly mangoes are pretty sweet, but if you have hyperglycemia, so this is people with diabetes or prediabetes, the super high sugary blood content actually stuns stem cells. Super high salt content stuns stem cells. Mangiferin can protect against that. And the other thing that injures stem cells or stuns stem cells, cigarette smoke, primary cigarette smoke, secondary smoke, actually will stun your stem cells. And drinking alcohol is really, really bad for your stem cells. And so is super high blood lipids or cholesterol in your bloodstream. That also stuns your stem cells. Look, I talked about a lot of situations that can stun your stem cells. That's why I brought up mangoes, because mangiferin protects your stem cells. All right, it's kind of like a little shield around the stem cells because all these other forces might be weakening them. As I mentioned, mango also has a good source of dietary fiber. Dietary fiber, good for gut health. The gut microbiome, 39 trillion bacteria, a lot of them in your gut, lower part of the gut, the colon. And mangoes, by having dietary fiber, we're feeding our healthy gut bacteria too. When we feed our healthy gut bacteria, they actually release substances called short-chain fatty acids that lower inflammation. They boost our immune system. They help us heal, all right, as well. And this is research I've done at MIT looking at, the impact of gut bacteria and gut health in wound healing. And you can even double the rate of wound healing with the right probiotics to actually help to prompt the gut microbiome to be able to do the right thing. It's quite amazing. Let's see, what can I tell you about mangoes that I like to do with mangoes? Well, of course, I love to eat just sliced ripe mango. Okay, and you can even cook with green mango. Take a look at some Thai dishes with green mango. But you can make a smoothie. You can make a shake out of a mango. What I would tell you is if you're going to use mango in a smoothie or shake, be very careful because it does have a lot of sugar, and you can actually make a pretty tall glass with a bunch of mangoes in it. And that's a lot of the big sugar load. So I prefer to recommend that you actually eat sliced ripe fruit. Make sure it's ripe. You'll give the mango gives a little bit. That's actually the best way to actually have it. Check this out. I've got a free guide on my favorite breakfast foods to eat for longevity. From what's in my mug to what I look for when I buy these staples at the grocery store. It's all right here. All you have to do is click on the link and enjoy. Oh, by the way, if you cooked chicken, for example, and if you do eat chicken, I encourage you to eat the thigh because chicken thigh contains vitamin K2. That's a bioactive that's actually been shown to cut off the blood supply to tumors. Okay, also lower the overall incidence of cardiovascular disease as well. But you can actually cook chicken thighs, for example, with some veggies, but you can actually add sliced mango to it as well. That's kind of a Thai dish. All right. If you want to look into it further for a recipe, just go to Google, type mango and chicken and Thai, hit recipe, hit search, click on the video, and you'll find somebody showing you exactly how to do it, and then they'll give you the recipe as well. So I love mango. It's really a delicious tropical fruit with mangiferin in it. All right, let's talk about the fifth fruit, and it is the prune. Now, you probably have seen a prune. They come in a can in the middle aisle section of the grocery store. But you know what a prune is? It's just actually a dried plum. Plum is a stone fruit. In the summertime, you'll see plums everywhere in the farmer's market. Really delicate skin, light, sweet flesh, and a pit in the middle. All right. Now, when you dry all that up, you take the pit out, and you dry it up and shrivel it up, you wind up actually having a prune. Now, prunes, actually, I always think about prunes as being used as a laxative, meaning that it can help you address constipation by helping your bowel move so you can be more regular. It probably works that way. Got a lot of dietary fiber in it. But prunes, from a health perspective, also, and stem cells, have chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is a bioactive that's also found in coffee, for example. All right, but here's what happens. Chlorogenic acid improves stem cells in your gut. All right, and your gut, stem cells in your gut are rebuilding the gut all the time. When there's chlorogenic acid in there, it actually helps your stem cells regenerate the lining of your gut. That's pretty important because the gut health, like when people talk about leaky gut, inflammatory bowel disease or irritable bowel, we think that some of that may be due to leaky gut, and you want your stem cells to be able to repair any of that leak, okay? So chlorogenic acid, which is found in prunes, can actually do that. Now the skin of prunes, right, which is a shriveled up plum, also contains ursolic acid. Ursolic acid also helps to regenerate our tissues by stimulating our stem cells, specifically the vascular stem cells. These are the stem cells that build our blood vessels, right? So here I told you about the prune. It actually is good for the gut lining. It's also good to build and rebuild and repair our circulation. It regenerates our circulation. And this has been shown in lab studies with ursolic acid where blood vessels are blocked, the animals are fed ursolic acid. It really comes from fruit, extracted from fruit, just like you'd find in a dried prune, all right? And it turns out that then you'll actually regenerate the circulation again, even though the blood vessel is blocked. Pretty amazing. And of course, these prunes have a lot of dietary fiber. The dietary fiber feeds the gut microbiome, right? And feeding the gut microbiome, the fiber makes the gut microbiome healthy and happy. And they pay us back when they're well fed. Okay, just like a pet dog, you're going to feed your dog and it pays you back with love. Where our microbiome shows us its love by producing short chain fatty acids into our bloodstream, which lowers inflammation. All right, you're lowering the risk. Sort of one of the root causes of chronic diseases is inflammation, or inflammation associated with some of these chronic diseases, and you can actually lower them down by feeding them dietary fiber, which is found in prunes. So in addition to all the benefits of the chlorogenic acid and the ursolic acid that's in there, now you're also being able to get better gut health and lower inflammation as well. So lowering the damage, improving the repair, that's really all what regenerative medicine is aiming for. But regenerative foods as medicine is something that we can actually do with these fruits. So let's just recap a little bit. We talked about some of my favorite fruits, black raspberry, okay? We talked about blueberries. We talked about strawberries. We talked about mangoes. We talked about prunes. And there's a lot of other fruits, by the way, that actually can beneficially impact on your stem cells. These are the ones that I just wanted to call out because they're easy to find. You can find them in the middle aisle of a grocery store as well as the produce section. And dried fruits are also good, all right? A little tip in terms of buying these types of fruits is that if you can get them seasonally from a farmer's market during their peak season, you're always going to get the best quality, the highest polyphenols in there. And if you get organic, that's preferable. And the reason it's preferable is that it's really hard to wash off pesticides on the skin of a strawberry. It's basically impossible. And plus, the organic version is going to have more of the polyphenols, more chlorogenic acid, more ellagic acid, more ursolic acid. So who wouldn't want to have that? So that's actually what's a good thing about a little tip for buying these fruits. And if you can't find these fruits, now you can find prunes, dried, which are dried plums, all year long in the middle aisle at the grocery store. Just ask somebody to help you find them. All right. By the way, it's like a packaged food. So please, if you're getting prunes, pick up the container and look at the ingredient label and make sure there isn't anything they added. Make sure they didn't make added sugar. Make sure they didn't add other chemicals that you don't want to be introducing into your body. All right. So, but you can find prunes anytime. But for these other fruits, if you can get them seasonally and locally, that's the ideal. If you get them organically, that's ideal. But let's say you can't get them, either based on where you live or they're out of season. What can you do? Well, guess what? You can get them frozen. Frozen fruit, when it comes to polyphenols, have got all those goodness, all that polyphenols locked right in, because when ripe fruit is picked to be frozen, it's picked off in the field, all right, by growers, and it's flash frozen right away. It doesn't even have to make the journey by plane or train or truck that your other fresh fruit has to come if it's being flown from the other side of the country, which is, by the way, what I'm telling you, go for a local farmer's market. It's not come from very far away. It's ripe off the tree, then it's at the farmer's market. That's really good. Frozen is just fine. Frozen fruit is absolutely great. You want to actually make a smoothie or something out of it. That actually is a great way to be able to get these fruits, whether it's blueberries or strawberries or mango. These are really, really common. I highly recommend checking them out. And don't be afraid to be adventurous and look up recipes with frozen or fresh berries and mix them together, right? You can actually make a bowl for breakfast or a bowl for dessert. Many Mediterranean and Asian countries will just give you some fruit for dessert, especially in Asia. And that actually is the topping off your meal with something that can activate your stem cells to help you regenerate from the inside out. To me, that's actually a winning choice when it comes to having fruits that are actually good for your health. All right. I hope you learned something new. I think I probably did, because not a lot of people know about stem cells and fruits. Thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next video. Hi there. If you enjoyed watching this video, I know you'll love the next one.